Welcome to Leading with Artivism. Leading with Artivism is a live monthly interview series created and curated by Poet Gold in collaboration with Arts Mid-Hudson, featuring a diverse mix of artivists, artist activists who have taken up the charge through their art to highlight social issues. We invite you to ask questions and get an inside look at the hearts and minds of these courageous creatives.
Welcome, everyone, to Leading with Artivism. I'm your host, Poet Gold, and we're here today with Mike Jurkovic. But before we get into a conversation with Mike, I want to say that we're at the lovely Cornell Creative Arts Center, which is a vibrant, inclusive arts hub located in Midtown Kingston, dedicated to making the arts accessible to all the creators, offers a wide range of classes, workshops, and exhibitions across disciplines, including visual arts, ceramics, dance, music, and so much more. With a strong focus on community engagement, the center provides a welcoming space for artists of all ages, abilities, and experience levels to learn, create, and connect. Its mission emphasizes equity, inclusion, and the empowerment of underserved populations through creative expression and education.
That sounds perfect.
Yes, it does, right? It's perfect
That's
place.
what we're here for.
Absolutely. So I'm going to read a little bit about your bio so that the audience know who you are and what you do. Okay. Mike is the 2025 through 2027 Ulster County Poet Laureate. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Published globally. Little reportable income.
That's no lie.
Collections include Circling Plains on Bushwhack Books in 2026. And then we also, I'm just going to mention a few others. We have a haiku collection, Monet's Bamboo, is that correct? On caps and blue fan wearing. You know, one of my favorites. Don't let the glasses get away because then I won't be able to see. Even though I'm doing pretty well right now. Okay. And then you have the 2016 Pushcart nominee.
I was.
Yeah, you were. And you're the president of Calling All Poets series.
27 years and running.
Yes, indeed. We're going to talk about that.
Cool.
You also, I know that you're a jazz lover. So you have All About Jazz at the lightwordpress.com. Is that correct?
Lightwood Press.
Lightwood Press. Okay, see, this is what I need my glasses for, right? And you host the New Jazz Excursions on Mondays from 9 to 11 a.m. at WVKR FM 91.3 Vassar College.
Absolutely.
And you absolutely adore and love Emily.
My best friend. What can I tell you?
Yeah, absolutely.
We've been through a lot.
So there's a lot to unpack.
Let's go for it.
You are extraordinarily talented as a poet. You know,
Don't build me up too much.
No. I have to. And I want to first start with one of my favorites.
Okay.
Which is Blue Fan.
Blue fan wearing.
Mm-hmm, a collection of haikus and short poems, I'm going to say. But I'm going to tell you, when I read the book initially, it for me it was somewhat melodic. I sort of felt like your jazz overtones in some of the alliterations that you have in it.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because when I do present the haikus, which is not often,
Mm-hmm.
I usually have a musician with me. Eric Person has
really?
joined me, and Eric Person and Robert Kopek have been with me. Nick Bazant's a wonderful friend and great guitar player out of Albany, has helped me out with it several times.
Mm-hmm.
When they get into doing the music that they do, it's easier for me to figure out the timing and how to read them and let the space come and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it is built melodically that way.
Okay. All right. So you, I'm going to jump around here and totally not go in the directions that I wrote everything down today. What were some of your influence? I'm going to sort of stay with the music thing right now. Were you a beat poet type poet? Like what was your influence? How did you learn poetry?
Everybody, let's not say everybody, at least everybody from my mindset gets started with Jack Kerouac and then moves from there. And you go into Allen Ginsberg and Ferlinghetti. I think Coney Island of the Mind is still something I'll go back to.
Right.
And then what that leads you into the whole jazz playing thing. And, So, okay, I wasn't a jazz kid growing up, but the Beatles were always playing.
Mm-hmm.
My father always had polkas on, so there was always music in the house. My mother was a Perry Como fan, so you can imagine how the polkas and the Perry Como thing went together. You know, so it's the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and then as you get towards the end of high school into college, you're walking around and it's Dave Brubeck, and it's, you know, it's Coltrane, and it's Miles, and it's Thelonious, and it's just, and you just hook into it. And the music is always, if I haven't found it, it's found me.
Got you.
And that I always write with some kind of rhythm in my head.
I had the chance to do a very tiny sort of set at the Currick House in Orlando, and
That's nice.
yeah, and they have, actually it's in College Park. It's now being renovated, and they have like the first typewriter he used to write one of his books. And you would love it if you can get a chance to get down there. So I consider you sort of like a revolutionary poet. I'm looking at your button there that says resist.
We're in a bad time. You have to.
That says resist. You're the type of poet that's not afraid to use your voice to speak to the times.
We have to, because if we don't, then it's historic. It's cultural. It's sociological. It's historic. When societies are in times of trouble, they always look to the artists. They either look to the painters, they look to the sculptors, they look to the musicians, they look to the poets, the wordsmiths, whatever the case might be. And we just have to do that. I mean, it's not like I'm trying to lead anybody, or I think it's just a matter of fact. If people hear us using our voice, I think it helps them to use theirs.
So you feel that there is definitely a role for the artist to play as I like to say artivist, you know, as an activist, so to speak, an art activist.
I think there damn well has to be. I think we owe that. You know, I mean, however big or small the stage is that we might inhabit, okay, if there's something wrong, if there's something that we sense is wrong, and if we're connected to the audience, sense that they believe that it's wrong also, then it's our, I won't say duty, but I don't know, whatever the word you want to use, but it's our responsibility to voice that.
Now, there are some people who feel the opposite. There are some people who feel like, you know, I just want to be entertained by you, and so you should stay in your lane. And obviously, you don't.
How do you get entertained by a poet?
You know,
I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure how people would. Have you ever been entertained by a poet? Once or twice. Yeah, I mean, people would go more for a musical thing, I think, to be entertained. That when people that have it figured out in their head that they're going to a poetry reading, I'm not sure if they're really expecting entertainment as much as they might be expecting
simulation.
Some kind of simulation or insight, dare I say, you know.
Right. Yeah. No, I get you. So let's talk about the Constitution.
Yeah.
Because I know that you have several readings of the Constitution.
Well, one of the things that we're doing, and this was really your successor, Ruth Danon, her idea, she tripped up on this one, and she wanted to do a marathon reading of the Constitution. And we at first said, okay, we'll do it for 12 hours, and we'll just keep going and going and going. And it's like, no, let's cut that down to 4, and just bring people from all walks of life in. And have them read a section, okay? Hey, you're in the audience, coming up and read it, or you have readers already set up, which we did the first time we did it. And we did it on Juneteenth at the American Legion Center in Beacon.
Right.
And it was a wonderful turnout. People loved it. We had a professor from Skidmore College who was a constitutional scholar. People were asking him questions. He was asking us. It really turned out to be a great event. And Ruth and I hope to do at least 4 or 5 more before the midterms. Okay.
Now, did you find that there were more people from the audience who stepped up and wanted to be engaged, or was it, you know, more of a curated event of other poets and speakers?
I think this time it was more curated.
Okay.
You know, because people weren't too sure. So, and we weren't too sure either who's going to show up and who wasn't. So it was more curated this time out, but I'm going to, especially this one, we're going to do at the Rear Immigration Center in September.
Okay.
That's going to be a little bit more spontaneous.
And that's going to be September 26th?
September 26th.
Okay.
Yeah, from noon to 4.
Noon to 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so 4 hours.
Yeah.
So I want to segue a little bit and talk about Calling All Poets series. You're currently the president of the organization. If you can tell our viewers what exactly is Calling All Poets series, and have you been there since its inception? How did it come about?
No, I haven't been there since the inception. Jimmy Eve, very good friend of mine. He started it in 1999 in Beacon, and I had a thing in the huts up here called Voices of the Valley. We were actually doing it down at Monkey Joe's.
Okay.
And but it first started, we were going to this bookstore, that bookstore, this here and everywhere. And Jim would say to me, "Hey, you got to come down to Beacon and join me." And I would say, "No, you got to come here and join me." And like brothers do, we were fighting back and forth,
right.
and, arguing back and forth. "No, I'm not going. You join me. No, you join me. No, you join." So that went back and forth for about 4 or 5 years, and then finally, I think it was in the winter of 2003, he said, "Look, why don't you come and join me?" Another creative endeavor that I was involved in kind of fell through. And I was just like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. So I joined him, and we were in Beacon for 15 years. And then in 2016, we came up here to New Paltz. And then that's when everybody started streaming and doing all that kind of stuff. Okay. So now to this day, CAPS is an international organization. We have people from Australia, Costa Rica, Canada, Malaysia coming regularly. And
how can people find out more about it?
www.callingallpoets.net. That's the way to do it. We're also on Facebook, also on YouTube. And we're getting features from all over the world. It's not just concentrated in New York or the Hudson Valley like it was. Our membership is global now. So it's really kind of cool. Yeah.
I think, COVID was a terrible thing for the world.
Yes.
But on the other hand, it was the technology that rose out of COVID really opened up organizations like CAPS and Poetry Fest and in order to give access to people who otherwise would not know that this is happening in the Hudson Valley.
Oh yeah, no, it sounds really twisted that something good came out of COVID.
Right.
But it certainly worked for CAPS. I mean, I can't say that it didn't. It really did.
Absolutely.
To the point that we were doing live readings. We went back to trying to do live readings afterwards, but the in-person crowd was falling off, and the Zoom crowd was building up. And it's like, well, heck, just do it in Zoom.
Right. And a lot of people want to know whether or not if an event is going to be hybrid.
Yes.
Exactly. Today. Can they come in person and can they watch online?
Right. And we did do it. Even when the few times that we did go back live, we did do it as a hybrid. But again, like I said, you can't trust the weather. It's like, oh, it's April, nobody comes out because it's cold. Oh, it's June, nobody comes out because it's gardening. Right. They don't come out in August because, well, they're away. And in September, it's too cold. In December, it's too cold. I can't do that either.
Right. So they can go to your website, they can register. It's a monthly event, right?
Yep. All the events are on Facebook. I can't remember if it's on Instagram or not, but it's on Facebook, YouTube. If you want to check out all the videos, they're on YouTube. And have fun. Come on by.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of your work. Circling Plains.
This is the new book that I Bushwhack books. Here out of Kingston, published. My good friend Will Nixon is the publisher. He's published several people here in the area. And he had this brilliant idea. He said, hey, if an Ulster County publisher publishes the Ulster County Poet Laureate, we can get some headlines. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's give it a try. And honestly, of all the books that I have, the 4 or 5 of them that there are, this is the most beautiful one of them all. Okay. And Will did a great job with it. And,
would you mind sharing something from the book?
Oh, yeah, sure. We can read something.
Thank you.
Let's see. Should I read a depressing one or a good one?
It's up to you.
All right. No, let's not do depressing.
What if I said page 32? What's on page 32?
You might be in trouble. Let's see what page 32. Oh, okay. It's a short one.
Okay.
That is called Wiggle Room.
Mhm.
That last poem before this one was about the erosion of memory, which may seem wishy-washy to most of you, but it leaves me plenty of wiggle room. I like to throw humor in when I can.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like very little income.
Yes, that's right. That's right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Shall I do another one?
Yes, do another one, please.
All right, let's do. Will insists that I do this one. Okay, he's told me whenever you read this one. It's called Red Knots.
It's called what?
Red Knots.
Red knots. Okay.
The Rufa red knots, North America's most common subspecies, flies the equivalent of the moon and back in its lifetime. Now it faces extinction as we overharvest horseshoe crabs. Tell me again how we are not to blame for everything dying on this planet. Please tell me again. I didn't hear you the first time. Thank you. Thank you. I can keep going.
No, give me one. Give me another one.
Give you another
Yes,
one?
give me
All right,
another
let's
one.
Give you another one. All right, let's do this. This is a gentleman I would love you to meet. I got to hook you up with him, Dr. Anthony Ingram.
Okay.
He's in Washington.
Mhm.
Great guy. And hopefully he can do some stuff. This is the very first poem that led off the book, and it's called The Charming Ineptness You've Taken to Heart. Dates back to autumn of 1882, when, in the crimson goodness of Trinity Church, the first of my forebearers panned for poetry and gold amid the gilded squalor. Tipsheet Jones moved about the lower barrow like the crackling new current that lit up Pearl like vandal stars fallen from God's busy hands. Through the roll and rumble of a city divining, he ran his book and wrote his verse neath the hanging tree, where the warm and waning afternoon light was the golden cast of God's smile. In his bowler and shabby frock, he took his poems to the hometown papers, rashly establishing a down-the-decades pattern of editorial rejection down to me. Yours truly, who, as we speak, is weighing rejections one by one by one. When pennies proved few from Waverly readings, Tip took whatever poor boy gigs he could gather, grave digger, sewer rat, muck diver, and wooed almond-eyed Angelina Francesca into marriage, 3 kids, and a lot of talk about better days. When workers wouldn't loiter, living like thieves, their children without factory fever, the 5 points without blood, without cholera, days when the city no longer digested its own.
I like that.
I like it too. That's why I put it there.
That's why you put it there, right?
Yeah.
It's something that I haven't read this particular book, but something I noted in your reference just now. 2 things. In the blue fan wearing, and even this, you have in some cases an affinity for the laborer and spirituality.
Well, my father was a laborer for the railroad.
Okay.
And a union man, and my mother worked, what do they call it? Patchwork for us. You put sweaters together. It wasn't what you would consider a sweatshop, because this was entirely different. This was actually an official, I guess you could call it, a real factory.
Okay.
But it was piecemeal work.
Mhm.
So they came from that whole labor thing, and it's in your blood. You can't get out of it.
Mhm.
It never leaves you.
Mhm.
And so there is some kind of sympathy for it.
Right. Yeah, it comes out.
It comes through.
It comes out in New York. So in New York and the Hudson Valley, right?
Yeah.
We're feeling such a great vibe right now because New York Knicks won.
Next one.
Knicks won, right? They won the championship. And they hadn't won since 1973. Is that right?
Right? 58 years ago, something like that.
So there was like a cultural movement going on at that time, amongst the races, Italian, Jewish, Irish community, and the Nuyorican Cafe was born in October 31, which was a former Irish pub.
Yep.
Right. We had the last poets happening in Harlem during that time.
Yep.
We had the avant-garde movement, the Poetry Project at St. Mark's.
St. Mark's.
St. Mark's, a lot of revolutionary stuff was going on in the Bowery. What do you think this means for us now? Is this a sort of rebirth in cultural awareness for the poet?
I think we certainly need it if it's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, we reflect the culture.
Mm-hmm.
Every artist reflects the culture. And if we're not heating it up like the culture is heating up, then we're missing something. And again, like I mentioned, that's our responsibility to heat it up if it needs heating.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can't keep going on like we're going on. I mean, you know that, I know that, everybody here knows that. It's got to change, and the change comes from the people, and we are people. Right. So we make it happen one way, because no one's going to come and save us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we got to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's something that you write, or it's something that I write, or it's something that anyone here in the audience writes, and it lights a fire under somebody, God bless them, go and let the fire burn.
Right. Let it burn.
Let it burn.
Poetry is protest.
That's what it is.
And political action.
Yep. And that's been when I was very fortunate, because when Arts Mid-Hudson and Ulster County said, hey, you're going to read a new poem, I was like, oh God, what do you want me to do? And they said, do whatever you want to do. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And again, I wanted the position to be one of advocacy of some kind.
Right.
And this is how we're doing it with poetry and protest. One thing I do want to say about this, though, is I'm doing most of these programs in libraries, except for in Beacon. And, we're doing it here at the Rear Immigration Center also. But when I started pushing the idea towards the libraries, you would be, and I'm not going to mention any name, you would be surprised how many libraries either ignored me or just was like,
well, you had the boogeyman word in that, protest.
I'm telling you, I was really surprised. I mean, because, Franklin set the libraries up as a forum, as a center for democratic conversation.
Right.
And if they're not providing that place for library, that kind of conversation,
then what are we really doing?
Yeah, what are we doing?
Right.
We can't. This is not a time to be running scared. And do I understand their stance? Yes, especially the folks that did explain it to me. Do I understand the stance that some folks ignored me? No, but I really appreciate the several libraries in the area that have taken this on. And come on, let's do it.
Right.
So,
well, it goes back to the power of the word and what words we choose to communicate a thought or an idea. The word protest to people is a scary thing for whatever reasons. It's how protest has been put out in the media, and so how people translate.
Everybody thinks it's a bunch of rebels, or it's an Antifa, or it's Black Lives Matter, or whatever the case might be. This is a group of people sitting around, and it doesn't necessarily turn into a poetry reading. It turns into a conversation.
Right.
One of the great things about the conversations that happen in Beacon is that there's several veterans that come by from the Iraq and Afghanistan. And there's one Vietnam veteran that comes by, and there's a climate scientist that comes by. And we get into these conversations. And, Ruth and I may read one poem, or somebody comes with one and they read it, but it all comes to this conversation. And you got people coming up to you afterwards saying, we really need this. It's nice not to be alone. This is how we start conversations. Now, granted, 98% of the people that come to these readings, not just Beacon, but everywhere else, excuse me, they are on our side. Okay.
So you're sort of preaching to the choir.
I'm preaching to the choir. But one woman came to me. We've been doing it in New Paltz. We have a series of New Paltz going on. And she came up to me And she was like, you don't know how important this is. And I was like, oh, I'm glad, as long as you're feeling comfortable with it. She goes, I need to know that I can talk to other people about it. And that was wonderful. And one of the last ones that we did in New Paltz, we had several college kids there. And you'd be surprised how many of the young women that were there were like, I don't really know if I want to have kids in this kind of climate.
Right. Yes.
What happens if that stops? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not just, and it's all races, it's all gender, whatever. And as long as people are feeling comfortable, I really let the evening form itself. If it wants to be an open mic, great, we do an open mic. If it turns out to be a community discussion, great. And that's the way most of the discussions in Beacon and New Paltz are. They become community discussions. The real big one that we did in Saugerties to start this whole thing off, that came a free-for-all, man. It was like there were several indivisible groups there, and we were going back and forth with everybody. So it really fires itself up however it wants.
Now, I know we had jokingly said like you're sort of preaching to the choir, but do you find that most of the audience are of like mind, or have there been people there who had a different viewpoint but was welcomed?
They're welcome. I have never, and that's one of the things I've had to explain to the libraries. I'm not going to turn away anybody who's on the other side of the spectrum. Come and state your case.
Right.
Everybody else is, come and state it. But they state their case online, but not necessarily come to the programs. Like you put the flyer up on Facebook and Instagram, and I won't go into the language.
Right, folks got a lot to say.
Folks got a lot to say. How dare you? This, that, the other thing. And it's like, come to the thing and talk.
Right.
That's all it is. It's a discussion. And so that's how we've worked it out. But I do it. I let the audience morph it however it wants to form. We did one in Kingston that became a really nice conversation all around. Like I said, the ones in Beacon always are. The one in Saugerties was more of an open mic, but then it became conversation. So it's great.
And I think something that you pointed out about belonging. People want to have the conversation. People want to feel that there's a sense of community, or that they can turn to someone in this time of need, so to speak. What's
really been nice is that I also have, because I'm involved in a few of the indivisible groups here in the Valley, and we'll either raise money for them because, when they put on the rallies and stuff, they need insurance, they need town permits, all that kind of stuff. So that helps that. When we do it at the libraries, we put donations towards the libraries. So it's helping in that way, but that people are not afraid to voice or to, that, I'm not just sitting in front of my phone and finding out how people feel, but I'm actually here in a room finding out how people, that's kind of important.
Yeah, it's very important. Kudos to you, man.
Yeah. I can't say I got the idea from you, but you've been leading the charge too. So,
but that's it's that poet laureate question is always loaded, because it's like, how do you want to shape? What do you want your contribution to be? And what's beautiful about it is that we do get to shape it in a way that's important to us, and I think also for society itself.
Yeah, I mean, and you were one of the spearheads with that. Absolutely, because you've always been trying to lighten up people's lives one way, shape, form, or another. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Thanks.
Sure. So what else is on the horizon?
Well, there's more of these.
Okay.
I can read.
Do we have some dates?
Yeah, I do.
Dates and locations?
I was actually smart enough to bring. We have one coming up on July 9th at Elting Library. All of these things start at 7:00.
Okay.
Elting Library in New Paltz on July 9th. July 15th is the Rear Center, Immigration Center in Kingston. Oh, that one starts at 6. July 30th at the Beehive in Beacon. That's at 7. August 12th, the Rear Center at 6. September 10th at the Elting Library at 7 p.m. September 18th at the Woodstock Library at 6 p.m. September 24th at the Beehive in Beacon. We have the Constitution reading at the Rear Immigration Center on the 26th. October 16th, we have another Poetry as Protest program at Woodstock. And on October 22nd, we'll be back in Beacon We're also working on one at Socrates at the Inquiring Minds. And I think Gardner Library wants to set one up, but I can't really remember that well.
Is this going to be listed on your,
Yeah.
is the CAPS website or your website? Where is it?
I don't have a website anymore. I got attacked by the Russians. And that's serious. I mean, I was constantly getting stuff. We'll have it up on CAPS and my own social media stuff.
Okay. We have some audience members out here today. So does anyone have any questions for Mike?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
You both of you brought up a very good point about poetry being a reflection of our current culture. And it just got me to thinking, what is our culture right now? It's very much in chaos. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I was just thinking of, because we have a different culture coming from a Ukrainian background, that our art has saved us, really. But this is a wonderful place for us to talk about. You talk about like-minded people. I don't find that much in as I live in Poughkeepsie. Over there in Dutchess County, I find it more over here. So I'm very happy that people are getting together a little bit more. But I want to explore the meaning of that word culture, especially now that we have the show coming up of Resilience 250 Years of America, blah, blah, blah. What exactly does that mean to all of us?
Right.
I don't know. To me, I just focused on the word resilience. And all of us are have to have that resilience. And it's really important to get the word out more for us to be unified. I come here more, I listen to more of the stuff that goes on in Ulster County than I do in Dutchess. Maybe that's just me. But you know, I feel separated when I'm in Poughkeepsie from my artistic musings or whatever.
Okay. And so you feel more artistically connected in Ulster County?
Yeah, well, I guess because I lived here for so long, and then now I live in the very middle America condo, and
in Ulster County or Poughkeepsie?
Poughkeepsie.
Okay.
In Dutchess County now for 20 years, and I'm not fond of it.
Okay. Okay.
But when I come here, I feel warm and.
We've never met before. Do you get out in the arts community at all?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
she's always out there.
Okay.
I've come to some of your readings.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that is fine. But I just I don't know.
So the
This
question
whole thing about culture
Right.
really stuck to me, and
so the question for you is what is culture? What is the American culture today? Is that what is the American culture today?
like,
Which is
right now we create what we feel at the moment, what's in our surrounding, what's in our immediate surrounding, and a lot of us have come to a wall because our immediate surroundings, anywhere we go, there's all this chaos around us, which the chaos leads to creativity, of course, but I don't really know where I'm going with this. Instead of
well, you want to
talking.
no, it's
okay.
I appreciate. I have some thoughts on that, but I'm going to have our guest first. Mike, what's do you have any thoughts about what is culture today, or what is
culture
American
today?
culture?
American culture today. I mean, you could say it was the UFC battle. You could say it's what we're doing right now. You could say it's always going to be American
Changing and evolving.
American culture is always going to be a clash, no matter what.
Right.
I mean, I sincerely believe that.
And why is that?
Because America's an argument. I mean, and it's always been an argument. From day one, it's been an argument.
I like that.
And you're going to argue. And from arguments come chaos. And from arguments come that center of the storm where it's all calm. You know, so...
and why do we argue? I'm just curious. Why
because we're always going to have some kind of different ideas. You know, someone's always going to come at you with a different idea. Or even if it's the same idea that you have, they might have a different approach to it. You know, so you try and bend and be malleable and see how it goes and come to some kind of, what's the word, resolution. You know, there's always going to be chaos. We're human beings. It's always going to be chaos.
Plus, we're a mishmash of different cultures.
And you use the word resilience. In what context were you using the word resilience?
Well, I use the word resilience because of I just submitted my piece at Arts Mid-Hudson membership. But that word resilience has been following me for the past, well, not just 4.5, because we're Ukrainian.
Right.
We had a show at the Ukrainian Museum. It was Glory to Ukraine and Resilience. And you hear in the news, how are we surviving? Because we're resilient.
Yes.
Because we get beaten down, we keep on creating.
Well, art itself is resilient. It's meant to be.
And if we didn't have that, I don't know where we'd be.
Right.
It's an important part of us being resilient. And I'm glad that Arts Mid-Hudson is doing this show, and I'm curious to see what comes out of it, because America we're such a
hotbed.
Right now.
Really.
Riddle's a good one.
Yeah.
How about a hand for Arts Mid-Hudson?
Yeah. Hands for Arts Mid-Hudson, definitely. We are definitely evolving.
I'm just so happy that we've merged with the different counties so that I can come to all of these things, because that's what's been lacking in my life.
Okay.
Because, you know, I retired a couple of years ago and I was in the regular job. Although I was an art therapist, still, people don't really get you at all. But then when you see, these people, you're like excited.
Right.
When I submitted my piece, it's a visual piece. I wrote a poem. I used to also teach poetry to my clients, and I read it to instead of doing a description of my personal statement, and I wrote a poem on each piece, and my friend goes, "You write?" So, I write.
I didn't know that about you, huh? Yeah.
It's part of what's in your soul.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Barbara, did you have a question?
Yeah. I'm, I love you both, and
Thank you, Bob.
I love you that you both have sometimes have music accompanying you, because I feel like that helps everything go into my being more, because I don't get, maybe I'm not as auditory.
Right.
So then I can access it more. So I appreciate that about both of you. I guess it's, what's my question? I guess, it must be hard to travel, you, Poet Gold, had when I saw you, you had 3 gospel singers and a whole band, and I was like, what, how do you do that?
How do you do that?
There's a tour bus.
No, I have a tour bus. Wish you did, though.
But also, Mike, I don't think I've heard you with backup, music yet. Maybe
If you go up on YouTube, you'll see some. I haven't
Yes.
done it. I haven't done it recently. Possibly to my whatever words I'm looking for, to my detriment. But if you go up on the YouTube page, you'll see plenty of musical performances. Yeah, I have done it. The problem is distance between Nick and I is up in Albany. And the jazz players are as great as they are. I got to get a grant to get them to pay for them.
Right.
You know, and that's a whole nother time consuming situation. I mean, I love playing with jazz guys around here because they're excellent. She's taken, you know, she's been part of our jazz retreat when we've done it. But you know, you
have to pay the musicians.
You got to pay the musicians. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, these guys work paycheck to paycheck or gig to gig, whatever it is. And so you know, you don't want to see them, as much as you respect their talent, and say, "Oh man, please just come and do this."
Right.
I mean, I'm going to be asking Eric to come in. I'm going to go record this next week, and the studio guy who's going to be doing the work, and we're going to sit down and say, all right, who are we going to ask to bring in for this piece or that piece or this piece? So we'll figure that part out.
Yeah.
But,
But I always, you know, to your point, whenever I get a gig somewhere, that's my first thought is the musicians. You know, I can take care of myself with book sales and sort of balance things out through other gigs, but I will never let my musicians be neglected.
Yeah, you can't.
You know, just under no circumstances whatsoever. And so I've you know, if you can't pay the musicians, it's great that you want to have me, but if you can't give me a base, which is going to cover really my musicians, then I can't show up.
Yeah, that's really it. You know, we don't want to throw all the blame on the musicians, which is why we don't do this. But yeah, you want some kind of equity for everybody.
Right.
That's really.
Well, I mean, you talked about it a little bit, but how do you get paid? You know, I'm grateful for this organization. You know, how do you pronounce it? Arts
Mid-Hudson. Arts Mid-Hudson.
There you go. Like I think, I want to, you know, I know right now, Mike, you're poet laureate for Ulster County. Does that mean you're free to all? You know, I mean,
free to all? No, I don't know about that.
No.
People still pay you for things, and you know, you poet gold. Like, how would I bring you to Kingston? You know, I feel like I don't have in good conscience, you know, unless I had a couple $1,000, you know what I mean?
Right.
To bring you, and it's
Couple thousand, I'll join in on that one.
Support, but that's a long, double, triple question.
Yeah.
Well, the poet laureate position is a non-paying position, right? But it doesn't mean that once you get the title, you can leverage that and then charge, right? Because you've reached an esteem, a recognizable level, and you're right, a title, and you're not free at that point for the county or you know, whomever, because as a poet, you know, you have bills to pay, just like anyone else going to a job. So you can get public speaking fees and, you know, things of that nature.
What you got to remember is that 90% of poets have day jobs.
Right.
They're teaching or they're doing something. Maybe even 95% of them have day jobs.
Well,
Teaching
isn't that
artists?
the case for all artists?
Yeah, most of them, yeah.
Don't buy into the starving artist. I don't know whoever tried to sell that to artists. Don't buy into being a starving artist.
Yeah, don't buy into that.
Yeah, I have a question from the audience, on the online audience. Thank you so much for submitting. Someone wants to know, whom are your favorite poets?
One of them sitting right here in the audience.
Lucky for this.
Well, what's your name?
Cheryl Rice.
Right.
Okay.
Cheryl Rice. There's some great poets here in Hudson Valley, including my host. But I mean, for more recognizable names, I guess, Merwin, Kerouac, of course. He's the one who set me on the whole haiku situation. Mary Oliver is spectacular. One of my earlier influences, especially with the political stuff, was Denise Levertov. She was awesome. Nikki Giovanni also. And Bob Dylan, I'd be remiss. Joni Mitchell.
The list can go on, right?
The list can go on.
Yeah.
I was listening to Springsteen today. He's got some great stuff. So Yeah, it goes on. But no, it's not Flannery. E. Cummings also.
Mhm.
So
Yes, another question from the audience member?
Yeah.
The word it's hard to say is artivist. Poet Gold is better at saying it than other people. But we get the message, it's art and activism. And it always occurs to me that a central question is, for you, what came first, or how do you think of yourself as an artist, as somebody who's good with words and therefore can be influential for political reasons, or somebody who is essentially political and is trying to be an artist for effect?
I think the two have blended. I mean, when I was working, I was involved in union activities and things of that nature. So there's always going to be that. Like I said, my mother was, but not in the sewing end of it. When she eventually became a telephone operator, she was unionized. My father was unionized. So I became unionized. And I think I think once I gained some kind of control of the words, if that's what it really is, I think the political bend came into that, because I just couldn't see how one could be without the other. We all have something to say politically, whether we just do it by voting or we do it by voting and what Gold and I do. So I think the two of them blend, and then define each other, actually, is what I think it is.
And how do you feel about poets who take a very different political view than you do? In other words, I think there's somebody like me, I should have the prejudice that if you are good at poetry or art in general, you'll have sort of a lefty sensibility that's tied to a community. But there's also people who are, good at art, who
on the other side.
Take a very different position.
Well, we still got the First Amendment. As much as they're trying to take it away, we still have the First Amendment. So everybody's got their say.
Right.
And if they want to do their art and get that message across, I think that end of it is more of a limited audience. I mean, I'll be honest, than our end of it. I think there's more. What we really have to remember is there's more of us than there is them. And I think our art end of it, there's more of a, I'm repeating myself, but there's more artists that think our way or the left, the progressive, let's say progressive way, than there are on the other end of the spectrum.
I think there's a spiritual component to it. I think for that, taking away the politics. I think artists as a whole, it's hard to see someone without food and not be affected by it. It's hard to, even though we may have a limited control, but it's hard to look at children being murdered by the thousands for whatever reasons and not be impacted by that and not be able to speak to it,
right?
Through your art one way or another, whether if you're painting it or you're writing a story about it, whatever the medium is. I think that there is a deep spiritual connection between the artist and breath, the artist and life.
Yeah, there has to be. I mean, I'm not even sure. I mean, spiritual is great. I'm not even sure it's spiritual. I think it's just a human thing. I mean, you see bombs falling on Ukraine, you see bombs falling on Gaza, you're going to feel it.
Right.
Whether you're there and they're landing on your head, or whether you're 15,000 miles away behind your TV, you're going to feel it.
Right.
And to deny that feeling, that's anti-human to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's primal.
Yeah.
It's primal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and that's what hurts right now, is that we feel it.
Yeah.
And as artists, we feel it.
Right.
People around us are trying to deny it.
Yeah.
And not all right.
Right, right.
No, but I mean, there's going to be a certain.
I can't say that totally, because there's so much of it going on that if you lived it all the time, you'd go crazy.
Yes, yes,
Because
yes.
in our time, this is, people say, well, we've lived through several decades of our lives where things have happened, and politics were bad back then.
Mhm.
However, in my lifetime,
Mhm.
from what I can remember, for me, it's the worst. And trying to have a healthy medium, because you have to maintain your health in order to
Yeah.
Right,
keep
right, absolutely.
creating,
Mm-hmm.
and
Absolutely.
don't let it totally overwhelm you.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes, another question?
You know, one more thing, Mike, you talk about conversation
Mhm.
and poetry. And, I think it's probably true that they're cousins, but I want to know if you have a distinction in your mind between conversation and poetry.
No, so many conversations lead to some form of poetry one way or the other. I don't really. They don't really work on this end, that end. They blend together for me.
Yeah, they intersect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, they intersect. There's so many times, and I'm sure Cheryl does it. I'm sure you do it. You'll hear something.
Mhm.
You might just be passing by, and you'll hear something like, I remember that one.
Mhm.
And it comes from conversation, whether it's a conversation in your head or two women walking by or your conversation around the table, whatever the case might be, something's going to land in your head, and it's like, yeah, I think I can do that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank everyone for being present here. Is any more questions? Otherwise, I'm going to let this gentleman go home.
Go home. I thought we were going to get pizza.
Okay, we can do that too now. Well, Mike, it was great finally getting
It's
a
always
chance
good to be with
to
you.
talk to you, man.
Always.
You know,
Thank you.
I want to thank you to the team here at Arts Mid-Hudson and Cornell Creative for having us here today and supporting our artistic community throughout the Dutchess, Ulster, and Orange County area. And remember to live with gratitude, live with purpose, and live with love. I'm your host, Poet Gold. Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Thanks. Thank you for coming out. By Jove, I think